Well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. I see Ryan. How you doing, Ryan? And Will. Uh, I'm broadcasting live from Lake Crabtree, as you can clearly see. I'm sitting up on the dock now. And tomorrow is the third Royal Rumble. Is that right? Is it the third one? Yeah, we're 4 years old. We didn't have one the first year. Um, so Sorry, messing with my screen. So we're getting ready for the Raleigh Rumble. There's 22 people online, so we will just go ahead and get started now. Want to go ahead and start thanking our sponsors first and foremost. Want to thank A1 Pest and Wildlife of Sanford for being our AOI sponsor and for adding money to the AOI pot. And we want to thank Amped Outdoors for being our Big Bass of the Year sponsor and for giving money to whoever it is that catches the biggest bass in one of our tournaments this year. Definitely want to thank 4-7 Lures for being our title sponsor this year and for not only for a monetary donation, but for donation of prizes at every event that we have. Uh, Thank you to the Pin Cushion for the gift cards that we get every tournament to give away. Thank you to Chick-fil-A Town Ridge Square for the Chick-fil-A gift cards that we give. Roz Team Fishing for the tools that we give away at every event. Hobie Eyewear, thank you for your support. And we will have at the weigh-in tomorrow a drawing for a pair of Hobie Eyewear glasses. So definitely want to be at the weigh-in to get those. Those are, depending on which style, $99 to $109. Thank you to Cash and Rods. We do have a couple rods to give away at the end of the year to our Clash of the Titans champion and to our AOI champion. So Drew wants a tattoo. So got to keep that in mind. Let's talk about first the hours for tomorrow. So in years past, we've started this event at 8 a.m. Because that's what time Lake Crabtree opened. We made a decision this year. We are starting at 7 a.m. And whoever we made that decision, with the agreement of the anglers as well as whoever's going to fish Lake Crabtree just has to take an hour disadvantage. I did not realize that Wheeler actually opened at 6, but a 2-hour advantage or a 2-hour disadvantage for Lake Crabtree, I feel is too much. So everybody can start at 7 o'clock, launch and lines in at the same time. These are small lakes, so that should not be an issue. But 2 hours is too much. So Crabtree is just going to take a hit, and we're still starting an hour earlier from last year. So launch and lines in at 7 a.m. Lines out at 2:45. So it's not a nice even 8 hours like we usually get, but we can deal with it. Pictures must be submitted by 3:15. I've never fished Beaver Dam, so I don't know if there is an issue with cell connectivity at Beaver Dam. I wouldn't think there is. So Chris, Beaver Dam has 2 launches, just to answer your question. There is a primitive launch, which of course is open 24 hours. And then there's the park and the state park and the state park boat ramp, which opens at 8. So you can launch at Beaver Dam at the primitive boat launch a little earlier. I want to check and see while I'm talking about this if I can't remember if I posted the addresses for the launches or just listed the launches. And I did neither. But if you Google, you can find if you Google the primitive launch for Beaver Dam, it does show up on Google Maps. So should be easy for you to find if you want that. Um, Discussing the weigh-in. So one good thing about us starting a little earlier tomorrow is that we finish earlier. So in years past, the weigh-in has been at 5 p.m. The weigh-in that we have scheduled tomorrow is at 4. What I will ask uh, is that you try to get there as early as possible. Uh, we will have the weigh-in at Rally Point Sports Grill, which is uh, right beside Bass Pro Shops. The address is 837 Bass Pro Lane. But when you turn off of Harrison into Bass Pro, Rally Point is in the strip with Bass Pro, but it's over to the right. It's kind of in the middle. The strip actually makes a bend. There's an angle, and Rally Point is right in that angle. And we'll do it in the outdoor section as long as it's not raining. Um, uh, if it is raining tomorrow at 3 o'clock, so if it's raining at 3 o'clock, we will do a virtual weigh-in and not an in-person weigh-in, because we are looking at the outdoor portion of Rally Point. I also want to stress to try to get there early because Rally Point is having an event tomorrow that starts at 6 p.m. They will have a live reggae band that is planning to play on the patio, and we're just going to be squatting there. So we don't have the patio reserved. We're just a bunch of people that are going to show up, and we'll go outside. So I do, at least to show thanks to them. Let's let's at least get a drink or something. Spend a little bit of money. Don't feel obligated to spend a lot, but let's show them some love for using their facility. This is kind of like when we did the event at Falls. We're just showing up. So, um, what else do I have written down here? I've got the weigh-in. So specific. I did have notes about specific launch hours. So Beaver Dam is 8. That it opens. Crabtree is 8. Everything else you should be able to get into, um, uh, before 8. But just hang right there at the boat ramp. Don't go anywhere before 7. So we've got Lake Johnson. You will launch before the office is open at Johnson. So you're on your own um, recognizance to pay your launch fee when you come in. So when you come in off the lake, go up there and pay pay your launch fee. Lake Raleigh, there is no launch fee. Lake Wheeler, there's a small launch fee. Um, Lake Crabtree, I don't know, to be honest. Um, all right, according to Chris Gearhart, there is no way in because there's no karaoke now. So, uh, and there also it's some new. This event at Rally Point is the release of some new spiced rum. I can't remember the um, name of it, but that's what this event is. A spiced rum event and launch, and that's why they're having the reggae band there. It all ties together, I guess. Um, Lake Johnson, Lake Wheeler, Lake Raleigh, Beaver Dam, and Crabtree. So that's our. I will say this: do not know what Lake Wheeler is going to look like tomorrow. After this rain, it takes a little while after a rain for waters to change. Sometimes earlier this week, the water was very, very low at Lake Wheeler. Um, there was not a rule. Uh, there was not a rule that you can't use a trailer, but it's use it at your own risk, according to some people that have been there. Um, so the good thing is it didn't affect kayaks too much because most people launch their kayak manually. But if you do launch your kayak off a trailer, there's nothing at Lake Wheeler that says you can't use your trailer. Um, but we have no idea. The water levels were really, really low earlier this week. John, yes, you can fish one lake for a little while and then move. So if you're wanting to go to Crabtree or use the ramp at Beaver Dam and you want to start at another lake, um, you can take out and move to another lake. That's perfectly fine. I don't know what the yellow banner is up at the Lake Wheeler website. Um, I just got information from Damien, who that's his home lake. He fishes there a lot. He's been there this week, and he had just sent me a message yesterday about the boat ramps at Wheeler. I'm trying to see now. Where'd it go? I've gotten so many chats. I don't even know where the chat went. I don't know if he chatted me or the page or what, but he was saying you can use the boat ramp. Either way, if you can't use your trailer, okay, so the yellow banner is a warning about low water levels. So hopefully that keeps the boats away, right? So from what I understand, there's been almost no boats there. Last Saturday, there were no boats there. I haven't heard of any boats being there during the week. So makes that nice. Because I had joked around and didn't know if they had downgraded it from Lake Wheeler to Pond Wheeler with all the water that was missing based on the pictures that I saw. Supposed to get a little bit of rain in the morning, but not supposed to be anything like we had today. Definitely not supposed to be thunderstorms. So, but be prepared to get a little wet at some point during the day. I think most of the time it's about 40 some percent chance of showers. Most of the time we're seeing it. So with that, can't think of much else. Don't forget about the wild card prize. So one thing I do want to say, if you look at the registrations on Tourney X, there's a lot of new names. A lot of names we hadn't seen before. So we definitely want to welcome those guys. If you have any questions tonight, message me. If you need to message me tomorrow, feel free to do so, and I'll do my best to answer it. But if you, there's a lot of names that we haven't seen before. I looked at some of the area codes, several Virginia area codes on some of these new guys. That doesn't mean they still live in Virginia. But nice to see some new people. It's we don't usually expect to see several new people this late into the season. But glad to have you. I don't know who this person is. This is one of those new guys I was talking about. So if be sure to introduce yourself to him if you see him. Nice. CL Care, I guess. CL Care 556. Glad to have you. Glad to have you looking at us and looking to join us at a later date. So last year there were 9 bags over 70 inches, and the winner was over 100 inches, and several in the 90s. Let me go back to those results while I'm just talking about it to see. The one thing that I have always been surprised is how relatively even the lakes have been. Raleigh Rumble. But one year I looked at it, and of the top 10, 3 were from Wheeler, 3 were from Johnson, 3 were from Beaver Dam. I clicked on edit tournament instead of view results. I know last year the largest bag came out of Wheeler. Um, the next three, if not four, came out of Johnson. Another Wheeler. Just trying to remember where everybody fished. Uh, Crabtree was in the top 10. Uh, so it usually ends up being pretty evenly matched as far as the number of fish. Last year everybody was grouped up pretty good. First and second place kind of jumped way ahead of everybody else in the pack, but you had, uh, in your top, like I said, in your top, the top nine were all over 70 inches. Those seven of those were 70 inches, 80 inches in those ranges. And then your top two were 96 and 103. Thinking it may not produce this year like it did last year, but we don't have uh, don't really know what this front, this rain and this front that are coming in here. So um, we'll see. We'll just see how it goes. Frank gave good advice here. Uh, take multiple pictures of your fish because the mouth does need to be shut, and there can be wrong hand placement. Your hand cannot be covering the eye, and it cannot touch. Um, Behind the can't be touching the tail at all. So if you've got a question about that, go to centralcarolinakayakfishing.com. Look at the rules. There's a picture of where you cannot touch. John, yes, if you go to centralcarolinakayakfishing.com, we have a tab for the identifier. And if you, matter of fact, I have it pulled up in the background. So let me just show you. So if you go to the web page, here's a download of a single tag that'll print the right size, or you can print this one that'll print 8 tags on a piece of paper. And then you write your identifier code on this tag. It doesn't have to be color, it can be black and white. If you can't get one printed, there are usually people at the ramps that have extras, but it would be good to post in the group what lake you're going to if you need an extra so that someone can be prepared. And uh, I can go ahead and as soon as I get back here, I can change my presentation and let's talk about this. Here's your identifier code for tomorrow. Real unique. I put a lot of thought into this one. You can use your old 10 tag, Peter. If you have an old tag, you can do it. But you do not have to write the identifier in all 3 boxes. Just write it in any one box of your tag. And if you're printing a tag, I would say put your tag in a Ziploc bag or something similar. Keep it waterproof, especially if it's got a chance of rain tomorrow. And it's always, if you got paper tags, I learned sometimes that it's easier to have multiple tags just in case. Even if you have a 10 tag or one of those, I have lost one of those catch tag holders that just shot off the end of my board and went in the water one time. So you do not have to put your name on it, John. Um, you just have to have that code visible, and it has to be visible in the picture. Don't put it on the fish. You can have it oriented above the board. You can have it actually on the board out past the tail of the fish. You can have it laying in the bottom of the boat, and so that you can see it in the picture of the fish. But just as long as we see that tag and the code, you'll be good. And Will says that if anybody's going to Wheeler and needs a measuring board, he'll have an extra with him. So that's always good. So if John, I'm assuming you have a board, but if you don't and you're going to Wheeler, Will would have one. Uh, Again, take extra photos. Chris will have an extra something at Beaver Dam. I just wasn't clear if he was going to have an extra board or an extra tag. Uh, Pete, yeah, write a Sharpie, use a Sharpie on the 10 tag. And then the best thing I found to clean the 10 tag off, to clean that Sharpie off after, is a magic eraser. Either the Dollar General brand or Walmart brand or even the Mr. Clean brand. But alcohol, isopropyl alcohol works well. And even some of that breath spray, uh, because it has a high alcohol content, that'll clean it right off too. I know that 100%. Um, yeah, and Chris said board. So if anybody at Beaver Dam needs an extra board, Chris Gearhart will have one. Just yell out loud. Now, Patrick, that's a good thought. I've never thought of using nail polish remover, but I almost thought maybe that would remove the print from the tag. So good to know that works. Uh, I'm assuming, Travis, that's the aerosol sunscreen. Um, Goof off wipes work. Uh, and here's a good one. This is as good as the breath spray. Deep Woods Off cleans it off too. Um, wow, look at all these life hacks, all these catch 10 tag hacks we're getting tonight. Right over your Sharpie with a dry erase marker and then wipe it off with a paper towel and it'll come off. Uh, all right. Uh, I'm not even going to add commentary to that one. Anyway, so just keep the times in mind. Like I said, launch and lines in at 7, lines out at 2:45. Make sure your pictures are submitted by 3:15, and be at Rally Point Sports Grill by 4. And let's have fun. Let's stay as dry as we can. Let's catch some fish, and let's see who can put it together this year. Uh, Appreciate all y'all for participating. You new guys, hope you show up to the weigh in. Look forward to meeting you. Minimum length, yeah, I'll definitely point that out for the new guys is 10 inches. Um, and the board, the fish does need to be oriented left to right. So board in your lap, fence on the left, mouth of the fish on the left, fin up, tail to the right, um, and 10-inch minimum. With that, we'll say good evening. I've got to go start loading a truck up, and um, so I don't have to do it in the morning in the rain, I guess. And we'll see everybody tomorrow. Stay safe. Wear your PFDs the whole time. Only if you are taking off clothing or adding clothing should you remove your PFD. And I will post the picture of the code RR3 on Facebook and Instagram as soon as I end this live stream, which is now. Good night.